owner of Farrow Competitive Training. And we had a little bit of a mix-up earlier on, but we're moving forward. I had the third guest sign on a little too early. No big deal. So we're just starting again here live. So Robert, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
My name is Robert Farrow, and I am the proud owner of Deezel Muscle Gym in Tempe.
Awesome. So tell me what it is you do there.
I change people's lives. We get people in great shape. I think for a lot of it, for me, I found confidence through bodybuilding, and I'm trying to pay that forward.
So that's awesome. So how long have you been training? Forever, right? Since you were a kid.
Well, so when man, we got to go back a ways. I remember mowing yards to make money when I was 10 years old, living on the Air Force Base when we first moved to America from England. And I made some money and I went down to the BX and I bought my first junior barbell set at 10 years old. And actually a neighbor, my actually best friend at the time, Steve Snyder, said I wouldn't keep it up. So,
I'm always really aware of people who are like old school gym rats, because I am too. I've been in the gym for a really long time, so I can always tell an old school gym rat when I see one.
Yeah.
So, what do you think that the biggest thing you learned about being in business?
That you got to be willing to adjust when things come along. You can't be so fixated on thinking a business is going to be a particular way. That was my kind of thought process at first. And I think it kind of held me back and it slowed me down. Now that I'm in business, I kind of treat it like I'm going to do something until I need to adjust something. Hopefully that makes sense. But I guess the thing I've learned the most is that business keeps changing, and you need to change along with business.
I think it's a really good lesson right now that all of us are learning with COVID. I think it's cool that you learned it pre-COVID, and I think I'm only just relearning it again now that COVID is happening. That stuff is going to happen, and you're just going to have to adjust to it.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And it happens whether COVID or it's something else. There's just something's going to happen, and you're going to have to make an adjustment.
Well, that's life, right? And I think it's not so important what happens to us, but how we respond to what happens to us, and we're in control of that.
100%. And I think it's the same way in training, right? And when you and I were talking kind of pre-interview, and we were saying that when you first opened up your business, you had a coach, and you were nervous about making sure that everything was like in place and that you had everything perfect. And I love being older as a human, but also older as a business owner, because I know that nothing's ever going to be perfect. And if I wait for things to be perfect, I'm never going to do anything of value with my life. I've just learned that personally, and I've learned that in business. And so I think when you're younger, you think that you're just going to have all your T's and your I's crossed. And I think it's important to make sure that you do what you can to be prepared. But at the end of the day, I mean, COVID's a perfect example. We couldn't have possibly have planned this one out. You couldn't have possibly foreseen that your gym would be closed right now and that you would be training people from Zoom or Facebook Live at home. I just like, really? I have a brick and mortar. I'm not going to do that, right? So I think that it's something that you learn with time.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I wouldn't go back to being young again if you paid me. I mean, really, honestly, because I think that you're just so afraid of everything when you're younger because you think that you're supposed to know everything. Don't you think that you just kind of realize that all of us are just kind of winging it?
Well, I think, pre-gym for me, I had all these ideas and I started collecting equipment, and it was a really long process.
Yeah.
And it was a few years, and I think I probably could have got into something maybe a little bit sooner. And it was actually a couple of my clients. One was Glenn, and he kind of motivated me by saying, Rob, I don't think you're ever going to open up your own gym. And, I think in life, sometimes you got to take a chance. You just got to.
You just got to.
Yeah. I mean, you'll never, for me, I felt like I'm never going to be quite prepared enough. Like even for this interview, I like as soon as I talk to you, I'm like, oh, I need to go out and get this tripod thing, and but I mean, but you do what you can, and you roll with the punches.
And I said, just prop it up on a book, and nobody knows like what's behind the mirror. I was telling you earlier, I was at Social Media Marketing World last year in San Diego, and the big, I was there for like, I don't know, 5 days, like 24/7. I was like infiltrated with social media information, and the big takeaway I got from the entire experience was be authentic. That the more authentic you can be in
Yeah,
everything you do, and I think that people think that a video or a picture or something that you're doing with your business somehow has to be a polished, perfect thing, and it just doesn't. I mean, today is a perfect example. We had a false start on the second part of this interview, and it just, okay, so I'll figure it out. So we were talking about the idea of being transparent and the idea of having transparency in your business. And I was talking earlier about how honest business practices and being setting up a culture where there's a transparent culture is so important in business. What's your feeling about what's the power of transparency in your business?
I feel like the more transparent I could be, the more I'm able to connect with my clients. So, for example, the gym's closed down. You see me in my gym right now just because it's a nice, quiet place to be, which is kind of
Yeah.
odd. But I, like the rest of my clients, decided, you know what? All right, I won't go to the gym either. Now I can better relate with my clients. I started doing things that I felt like I would do if I didn't have a gym, and then try to carry that on and help some of my members. Just to keep them going.
And that's how, you and I actually met about, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago through Shane Orlando.
Great
Shane
guy.
Orlando, awesome guy. He's the owner of Orlando Body Shop. I actually just I got rear-ended in December, and I had my car towed over to his place in Mesa because I so wanted him to have the business. He's a super duper guy. I'm so thrilled that you guys get to train with each other. And both of us are training for competitions. He was supposed to be competing in April, right? I guess that didn't happen,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Uh,
and I
and
was
it,
supposed
and
to
it,
be competing in May. And
right.
so we were going to share with each other about that. And I said, who are you training with? And he said, Robert Farrow. I said, how cool. And so he introduced us to each other, and we were kind of chatting, and we never really connected. But you know how we connected? We connected through your videos when you were doing your videos in your backyard.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And we had
like I was
like
trying to
a
do my
little bit of
best
a
yoga.
conversation. But we really connected when you were doing your videos, and I started chatting and commenting, and then you decided to come on the show. So that's the power of transparency on social media, is that we actually did what I was talking about earlier. Transparency expands relationships. And one of the things that touched me about your videos was that you were saying, well, I've never done this before, but I'm going to go ahead and just train in my backyard. I just can't help myself. I
Yeah.
have a problem. I can't help myself, and I just thought, how cool is that? So I'm really, the reason why I chose transparency for the conversation was I felt that you being so transparent on your videos is actually why I was so endeared to you, and how we started having a conversation, which is cool.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. For the longest time, I was hesitant about doing any video work. Again, you just don't feel like you're quite prepared. You're not sure if you really want to. And then last year, that was one of my things. I have to do more video content. I realized that I say a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again, and this is a way for me to kind of put it out there. And thank God for social media right now.
Oh,
It's
well, yeah.
wonderful.
And
The Zoom conferences and all that stuff.
I think that it's getting a lot of people comfortable with social media and technology that wouldn't otherwise have been comfortable. And there's some power in that. So we were talking earlier about some of the things that you're doing different in your gym. You were kind of doing different pre-COVID. And you were talking about having in your group training, how you're having people do one exercise and timing them for a period of time,
Yeah.
and then giving them an opportunity to rest, and then you're cleaning down the equipment before the next person comes in your group training. And then actually by doing that, you've learned some lessons, and it's opened some doors for you that you hadn't thought of for pre-COVID, right? So tell us about how some of some of the things that you've done to keep people safe have opened up your mind about group training.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to step back a little bit. I always want to try to make everyone who comes in the door feel comfortable. And sometimes it's hard to do that. If you look back here, you see a bunch of trophies and pictures of all these great looking physiques all over the place. That
Because
is
you're
100%.
a rock star,
That
right?
right. That's 100% to motivate you. I want you to come in and feel motivated. This is why people train at gyms and they don't train at their house. I think a lot of
Yeah,
people bought equipment lately, and hey, good for you, but pretty soon most people, man, I need a gym to go to. Well, I'm that gym you want to go to.
yeah,
And before we started, before we actually closed down and we found out about COVID, I thought, you know what? Again, I want people to feel comfortable when they come in. It's not so much about what my politics are and what my views are on COVID. I'm not an expert on COVID by any means. Well,
right,
I guess kind of like it seems like everyone is these days because that's all we
right,
hear about. So I take what I've been hearing and I'm trying to make it to where everyone feels safe. We're going to try to limit. We were, and again, this is pre closing down. Unfortunately, I had to close down on the 19th of March. But before that, I even posted a video, or I took a video and I showed the type of training that we were doing. Before, it was a little bit more grouped up. This is giving enough space where there's at least 6 feet apart. Everyone that was coming in, and we're going to do this as soon as we open up, hopefully May 1. Everyone gets a spray bottle, some sort of disinfectant, and a rag. And then when they're done, there's a hamper they put their rags in. They wash their hands and go home. You
but
know,
you know what? Being an old school gym rat, that's how we used to train.
exactly, and that's what I want to bring back. I
We
I
used
love
to
I
train
love
our
training.
equipment,
Yeah.
and now people got away from that. And I think that it's really amazing that we don't get more sick sooner. You know what I mean?
Well, I think we're starting to see, especially with what's going on right now. You know what? There's more reason to be staying in shape other than just the physical appearance aspect.
100%.
You know, I
Because
mean, we really need
the
to start taking
part
care
of
of
it,
ourselves.
having your immunity strong is, and your heart strong and your lungs strong. That's all internal stuff. It's not about looking good in the bikini and the vanity part of it. Although there's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself and being aware of your appearance.
Right,
However, the more important thing is that you're actually taking care of your organs,
right.
which is what keeps your body functioning. Your mind, your brain is a organ. Your
Yeah,
heart is an organ. And when you exercise, you actually you have better brain health and you have better health inside. And people often think about being fat on the outside, but they don't realize that when you're fat on the outside, when you're over fat on the outside, you're also fat on the inside. So your liver and your lungs and your
yeah,
heart and all of the organs are being squished together. And when you do that and something like COVID hits you, you have less ability to fight.
right. I agree 100%. Um,
It's,
yeah,
it's super important. So the other thing we talked about was you actually have a relationship with a pretty cool kind of rock star athlete, and he came into your gym a bit back ago and started to do group training. Really changed your mind about how training could be, because it used to be just one-on-one, but now you do a lot of group training in your gym. So you learned from the group training, but also you wanted to make kind of that one-on-one training experience more affordable for people, so they
yes,
could actually get that high level personal training experience, but reduce the cost, which I think
exactly.
is brilliant, because not everybody, you and I have been trainers for, decades. For
Yes,
someone to work with me, it's between 150 and $200 an hour at this point.
right,
Not everybody can afford to do that. And I felt limited by who I could train if I put my prices that high. So I felt
right.
like my ambition personally and my ambition to help were constantly in clashing because of the price problem. So you found a way to kind of make training affordable for regular people.
I really did, and it's even more so than that. So first of all, I worked at Gold's Gym for 16 years, and before
Wow.
that, I worked at Worlds and Powerhouse and a couple other places. But 16 years at Gold's, I really loved it. Now, in a place where there was that big of an environment and that many people, I found it best to train one person at a time. I
Right.
found that was best. I didn't want to be that trainer that, oh, I'm going to have a big group here and running all over the place, and I'm having to deal with other members because, you know what? It's just as much their gym as it is mine. So I
Right.
felt like, so even when I opened up my own place, it wasn't with the thought of having a group training type environment. I was still going to do one-on-ones, and I had other trainers there doing one-on-ones. So the athlete, actually the coach that you're referring to, is Charles Poliquin. Charles Poliquin, I mean, I think we all know he's world renowned. You know, rest in peace. He just passed away about a year ago. But yeah, he came in here 2017 and he did his own, or his the only mass and power boot camp in North America. He was in Prague, in London, Greece. I mean, he was all over the place, Germany. And
Wow.
the only one he did in North America was right here at Deezel Muscle Gym in Tempe, Arizona. You know what an honor that was. And
So
that's
you have to learn that by bringing small groups of 6 or so together, that you're able to create an experience where you could train the biggest bodybuilder on the planet and also a housewife who maybe is lifting 5 to 10 pounds, right?
well, exactly, especially in the new program that I just developed. We'll call it the C19 Farrow Competitive Training Program. Is exactly right, and which is fun. Now, the group stuff for me is helping create more environment, more energy, more flow. This is something that you don't get when you're trying to train on your own at home, and there's a lot of distractions. You know Shane. Shane's a great guy. Shane owns like 5 businesses,
Yeah.
but I will take his phone away. I will grab his phone and I'll take his phone away. The thing is, I want all of us, when we come in here and we come in here and we train and then we go home. You
Yeah.
know, it's a wonderful time, and it's our time, and it's so nice because it doesn't matter where you come from or what your politics are or whatever else. When we're in here, we have one thing in common, and we want to get a good workout. And I tell you what, especially after not lifting weights for a little while, there's nothing like lifting weights. I tried the running, I tried the jumping, I tried biking. It's not quite the same.
Yeah, I think you have to do both. You have to have weight bearing exercises for 2 reasons. One, it makes your muscles stronger, but also you need the weight on your bones. And people don't realize
Yeah,
that when you lift weight, you actually make your bones stronger. And
right.
that's an important part. Just like getting your heart and your lungs stronger, making your bones stronger is also super important.
Yeah, there was a lady that came to me. She was in her 70s, and we had a test on her bone density was down. And I said,
Yeah,
"This is what you need. Start lifting some weights, eating right, kind of getting on kind of program I would put most people on."
right.
And we checked again, and her bone density was up. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it really is what a lot of people would say is the fountain of youth.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So, where can people find you and where are you located? You're located in Tempe, right?
I'm located in Tempe. The address is 2120 East 6th Street.
Hmm.
Um, that's a Tempe. Now, the thing is, I'm hard to find. I'm kind of off the beaten path. Like I told you earlier, my worry was I was going to be too busy at first. I didn't even
Right.
have a sign on the door for the first 6 months because I felt like, man, I had so many people coming. We had a grand opening, and I think we had over 200 people show up, and we had 3 news stations, and I wasn't expecting anybody. I knew my parents and my wife and kids were going to show up, but
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome.
it's been great. I can't wait for you to come here and
I'm
check it out.
definitely going to visit like post COVID, and you and I are going to be talking about doing some things together anyway. But
Yeah.
what telephone number
My phone number is 480-225-5427.
and what's your website?
It's dieselmuscle at gmail dot or I'm sorry, dieselmuscle.com.
I love the your t-shirts too. You have some really great. So Diesel's Diesel, right?
Yeah, it's like, can you see that? DEE. Actually, it's on the wall back here too. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was
I think I
actually,
got it right. I just put it on the screen. If I've misspelled Diesel, people just fix that later. But oh, DEE. You have okay. I
there it
got you.
is.
Actually, a
Yeah.
play on words. Okay, I'm glad I asked because that's totally a play on words.
Yeah.
DEZEL. Awesome.
Yes. That actually came about. That wasn't really mine. That was I was training three guys for the Mr. Arizona contest. Geez, that was over a decade ago, and they all drove American muscle cars. And every time I have people compete, I'll always say, or I'll always give them shirts to wear, because you got to wear a button-up shirt. Some
Right,
slide it on because you got your pro tan on, and they don't want it on the chairs, so you have to have long sleeves. So I let the guys know. I'm like, hey, I'll give you guys some. At the time, it was Farrow competitive training
right.
shirts to wear. And one of the guys, Cody, came to me and he said, hey, can we put Diesel Muscle on the front of it? And then it just kind of it stuck. Now Diesel's kind of taken on its own, it's like its own word, its own meaning.
And see, I like that because you actually do have Farrow competitive training on your website. So your Facebook. So I thought that was still your name. So Deezel Muscle is actually your name now.
It is. And the reason I went with Diesel Muscle instead of Farrow competitive training,
Yeah.
because I wanted everyone to be able to get underneath something instead of having a name that we can all relate to, and hopefully we could find some sort of relation with Diesel. Like, we just keep going. We're Diesel, and then people are being described as, "Hey, that dude's Diesel. That guy's looking
That's
Diesel." So
totally cool.
it,
So you have an assignment. You have to go to your Facebook page and update that. So you get rid of the Farrow competitive training piece.
you know what? You're absolutely right. Yeah,
So there's your first assignment. People always come away with homework from me, you know?
yeah, I know.
So I'm super excited to come visit you, and we're going to talk before actually COVID is done. But I'm super excited to come over and visit your space. I'm super proud of what you're doing and how you're running your space. And just, I am an old school gym rat. And I just love old school gyms. I think people get really awesome workouts in places that are transparent and that are like family owned and just really rich. I think you do get a better workout because energy builds energy, and it's a super important part of working out. It's part of that
Exactly.
culture that we came up with.
Exactly right. I bodybuilding really saved me. It was I was really into sports as a kid, and then there was some rough times, and I think it was bodybuilding that really kind of centered me and gave me a little more of a direction, and my body was something I realized that I have control over. And once I started learning more, I went back to school. I actually, before I was a personal trainer, I was a restaurant manager. I actually went to college for management supervision with also nutrition. And
Wow.
yeah,
Cool.
y- yeah,
That's a good.
I was actually doing bodybuilding contests before I ever started training people. And one of the ladies who was a regular at the restaurant asked me if I would train her one day. And I said, I don't know how to train anyone. I mean, I don't know I could train anyone, until you actually do it, I suppose. And then she was persistent. And I told her, hey, look, I don't know what I'm really doing. I'd love to give it a go. I remember charging her $15 for an hour, which I think that's fine. Hey, I'm learning on the job.
Learning, right? Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
And it was an awesome relation. It was an awesome experience. The owners at the restaurant actually were the ones that said, Rob, this is really what you need to be doing. It was kind of neat. The restaurant actually would pay for my to compete.
Oh, that's really cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And
I
back
love
in the
things like
day,
that.
yeah, I was actually a natural pro bodybuilder back in the day, and they had pictures of me in the restaurant.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it
You know,
was,
for me, I just did my first competition after all these years of being a trainer. I got out of the industry when I was in my 30s as far as competing is concerned because I really felt like steroids were taking over the women's side of the sport.
yeah,
And my spirit didn't resonate with that. But the bodybuilding and fitness competitions and bikini competitions have changed so much that I made a decision last year. So my first competition was in August. And I think one of
wow,
the things that really struck me was backstage how kind everybody was to each other. I was expecting to see a bunch of divas backstage,
huh,
I was amazed at how kind everybody was. I mean, I had a girl that I couldn't pick her out of a lineup now. I don't even remember what her name is, but she was helping to she was gluing my suit on my butt. And I thought, Where else
Yeah.
would this happen? That you get a complete stranger that would help you in that kind of way, because I had lost enough weight where my suit had moved a little bit, and you had to, like, basically use
Yep.
monkey butt glue to get. I didn't know, so
Yeah.
I was amazed at just how helpful everybody was, and how encouraging everybody was, and how kind and respectful and polite everybody was to each other. And I'm hoping to compete again in October in New York at the OCB competition in White Plains. So we'll see
Nice.
how quickly I can get back on track.
Nice.
COVID
Yeah.
has
Yeah. So the
interrupted
stuff
my training regime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that was Bikini Bite that they were putting back there to keep
We're
it
putting the invite
in.
back there. That's right.
Yeah. You know what? It doesn't surprise me. I hear that a lot. People talking about going to shows and how surprised, how they were surprised how nice everyone was. You know what?
100%.
I find I get a lot of people saying the same thing about my gym. They come and, like, if you look at my testimonials, which I never even asked people to write testimonial, but I don't know, I've got over
You're
50.
if you're muscle bound, and if you're a muscle bound biker, you're aggressive, and my boyfriend is a muscle bound 60 years old. He looks like a 20-year-old. They naturally think you're aggressive, and they think that you're very vain, and I found that to be not the case.
Well, I find that that's a stereotype I'm constantly trying to dispel, and
100%.
and and the only way we're going to do that and change people's perspective of what that big muscular guy is all about is is just to be authentic and be ourselves, and
And to be
just
transparent,
right. I
right?
mean, just like anything else. I mean, there's going to be assholes over here in this industry, and then there's going to be assholes in this industry, and you know, what's funny? I actually have a, a an etiquette paper that I have all my members sign, and on the bottom
I
of
love
it,
it. Love
the bottom of it, the last thing that they have to sign is basically just don't be an asshole. Add to this vibe. Add to it says Diesel Muscle is one of a positive. It's a positive vibe, and please do your best to add to this. And yeah, if you're an asshole, please just go somewhere else.
it.
Yeah,
Well, listen, Robert, I am super excited to work more with you in the future.
me too.
I'm really happy that you broke into technology for the first time. We have a little bit of an internet lag on this time around, and we didn't have one on our test, so I don't know what happened, but no big deal. Probably it's me. You never know that with the internet is constantly fluxing. So I apologize in advance for a little bit of a delay to our listeners. And Robert, I look forward to seeing you in the future, and thank you very much for coming on Relentless Talk Radio.
Oh, thank you so much for the invite, and I look forward to seeing you again. And thank everyone that's watching. And I hope to be visiting a lot more of you guys when this is all over. Stay strong.
Now, if you guys go over to Deezel Muscle and you tell him you want the Relentless special, then Robert will give you an extra special.
You got it. Come on
All
in,
right.
guys.
Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right, guys, that's the segment 2 of Relentless Talk Radio. I'm going to go get Marna now, and we'll have segment 3. Marna is the fashion designer and the mastermind behind See You Doll. Be right back.